All right, fellas, welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, let me welcome in our two-time back-to-back champion, D-Wayne. D-Wayne, welcome to the show. How is your Sunday going, buddy?
I'm glad to be here, Nate. It's another day at work. Fixing to start my long weekend while everybody else goes to work, so it's a fun Sunday.
This man works more than anyone else that I know. I think you literally work 24/7. You never have time off, and I think you play Madden in your sleep, which makes me all the more nauseous that you're a two-time back-to-back champion and still work as much as you do. So for that, I hate you. So I hope that you have a great Sunday. All right, let's jump right in here. Now, we have had a lot of stuff take on. Games are going by so fast. There's a lot of content. Like, things are really going. We have a lot of momentum with it being already April. I really, really hope. I know that logistically it's probably not possible that we keep up this momentum, but I really am hoping that some way, somehow, we do keep this momentum as we go through the summer and that guys are really having a lot of time. We might, with this speed, be able to squeeze in 6 seasons. I don't think we've ever been able to do that before, but so far we're wrapping up season 4, and since we had so many games take place, I'm just going to cover weeks 13 and 14, and we're going to talk about some playoff stuff, so let me jump right in there. The Chargers won against the Broncos 38-23. The Giants won against the Buccaneers 21-2. The Vikings won against the Cowboys 20-17. Patriots beat the Jaguars 6-0 in a stunner. The Raiders 23, the Jets 10. The Redskins 17, the Packers 7. The Texans with a nice victory over 0-0, 22-3. The Ravens beat the Rams 30-20. Those Rams are really striving to come back and get in the playoff hunt. That was a tough one for them to lose. The Cardinals with a 33-20 victory over the Seahawks. I think Mo still hates me for that. The Bengals 50, the Steelers 10. And I got to be honest with you, we're going to talk about this, but I have no clue how Houday is 11-2. I mean, my God, everything he's going through, that dude is sitting at 11-2. It's amazing to me. The Titans fall to the Colts 24-21. I know the Colts, Collins said he's playing the best Madden that he's ever played before these last few weeks, so I hope he's able to keep that up. The Browns 37, the Bills 28. The Bills have missed a few games here lately. I think this was a CPU game. So I hope that 504 is able to come back around and get busy. I hate to see that these guys start falling off. The Chiefs 31-10 over the Bears. Ziploc, unfortunately, with the Chiefs, had to leave us for a little bit, at least until next Madden. Got a new job. He's moving to a new city. And for the next few months, he's really just going to be getting his handle on life. We left him in the chat, though, so hopefully he'll pop in and say hello until he can come back around. But we do have some really great guys that have applied, and I'm hoping if you're listening to this out there in the universe and you're looking for a great Madden community that's more than just Madden, we do play other games, we'd love for you to check us out. The Eagles with a 25-23 victory over the Dolphins, a tough loss for those Dolphins. And those Dolphins, man, are keeping up what we've always said about them. They just can't seem to get on any kind of streak. The Falcons 22, the 49ers 14. Big victory for your Falcons, D-Wayne. The Lions 26-16 over the Saints. And that is all for week 13. Then let's catch you up with where we are right now. I think there's only a couple of games left. Oh, a lie. It needs to be updated. There is only a couple of games that are left. But check out week 14. We're not going to cover them. Oh, look. There you go. Email popped up. We'll cancel that out. Check out week 14. But let's talk about the playoffs. It's right around the corner. Matter of fact, next time you and I get together, hopefully Houday will be back. I know he's still recovering. He's hoping he'll be back by the next show. By the next time we get back, we'll either be right in week 17 or we will already be in the playoffs. So it's time to start talking some playoffs. So let's hop right in there. Let's go division by division. Let's start in the AFC. Who wins each division in the AFC? Give me your winners and give me your 2 wild card teams in the AFC, D-Wayne.
Well, it's you got some really close races in both conferences right now. Well, I guess we'll start off the AFC East first. I got the Patriots pulling out the division right now. He's got the Dolphins and Bills, 2 of his next 3 games. I think he takes care of business. But like I said, he's got to take care of business against those 2 division teams. But if he does it, I do think Cincy pulls out the division. We got the AFC North. I got the Bengals, of course. Houday is playing phenomenal this year, 11-2. Last year, you couldn't get nobody to take the division. This year, he's 11-2. It's crazy. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who I got coming out of the South right now, unless Malsamo, he's got an outside chance to do it. But like I said, Jacksonville's only got 2 games left against teams over 500, and he's got a 2-game division lead on the Texans right now. I think he pulls that one out. And the AFC West is the one that's still up in the air. But I'm going to have to go with the Raiders. I think the Raiders pull this one out. They only got 1 game left against teams above 500. And he's got a 4-2 division record, which is the best right now. I think he comes back and steals the division away from the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the AFC West. Well, first, you only gave us the division winners. So tell me who you think is going to take the 2 wild cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 2 wild card teams. Like I said, that's where the log jam is at. It's kind of like in the NFC. You got 6 teams right now within a half a game of each other. It's tough to say, except with Ziploc leaving the Chiefs. I still think, unless the CPU or unless it just blows it, the Chiefs will probably take one of those spots. But if I had to choose a team right now, it's tough. I'd say the Chiefs, as much as I don't really want to see a CPU team take the wild card.
Hopefully they'll be full soon, though.
Yeah, I hope somebody takes them, because if somebody takes them, that's a good team take over, a well-built team that Ziploc made. I'm going to have to say the Dolphins and the Chiefs will be the 2 wild card teams in the AFC.
All right, I'm going to start out with the AFC West because I want to hammer them the worst. This is the division that absolutely confuses me. Now, this is, if we're comparing the 2 conferences, the AFC was really the powerhouse for the first 2 seasons. Now, of course, they had Ducks at the time. The Patriots were really good. I mean, still very good, but let's just call a spade a spade. I think as we've moved deeper into Madden, since he's kind of lost slight bit of interest. He still gets his games in. He's still active, but just doesn't seem like he's given it like he used to when we first started. So with the Patriots down just a notch, of course, Ducks is now in the NFC. Ziploc has left us. The Raiders and the Broncos have both semi-lost interest. So I'm going to start with the AFC West. This is the division that confuses me the worst. Of course, Ziploc left, so there's a big hit right there. That Kansas City team is very good. Whoever takes them is going to have a loaded team. The Raiders can't decide if they want to crap or stay on the toilet or whatever. They can't decide what they want to do. They're sitting at 6-6. I have no clue what happened to the Chargers. I mean, Brain Freeze has been so dynamic since he's joined us. He really took a not talented team and played exceptionally well. But this year, he just has floated by. He hasn't really been that active in chat. Of course, he's always like one of those really funny guys that just says weird stuff every now and then. I think he's a great owner, but he's a different dude. And then you got the Broncos, who we never hear from. I know he's active, and he talks to me in PM from time to time. He's just not one of those guys that chats a lot. He just kind of gets his games in, and that's about it. But that was a team that was always a 10, 11, 12-win season, and now he's sitting at 5-7, I should say. So that is a confusing division for me. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to say that the Chargers are going to come back and win this. Now, it all depends on who takes the Chiefs. Chiefs should win it, whoever takes them over. But I'm pulling for the Chargers because he's one of my favorite teams there. But shame on you, AFC West. More is expected of you guys. I really thought there was going to be a much better division. Now I'm going to move over to my left, the AFC South. Another team, the Houston Texans, they're just scratching my head. The Tennessee Titans. This is a much better division, just like the West, that should be playing better. I mean, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are always a little up and down. I'm going to call a spade, Brady. You don't do nothing in the playoffs. You're just like me. You're one and done. You're in and out. So I'm calling you the carpet. You got to make something happen this year so that I can really buy into that team. Massimo has played much better this year, but he's got a rookie quarterback. He's kind of went on a little bit of a midseason skid here. He sits at 7-6. That's a very good team that has a lot of potential. He's got David Johnson. He's got all the tools. Colin has made this thing interesting with his little winning streak that he's on here. But the Tennessee Titans, he's like me this year, just can't quite figure it out. Not sure what happened to that team. That is a much better team than a 4-8. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do like the Houston Texans to take one of the wild card spots. Moving over to the AFC North, of course, I have no clue how Houday has done what he has done at 11-2. Not because he's not a good player, it's just because he's got a lot of personal things with his health going on. But somehow that dude's sitting at 11-2, man. More power to him. He really is the team to beat in the AFC, even though there are much better teams on paper. This guy was in the Super Bowl against you last year. He's sitting at 11-2. He's already got the AFC North wrapped up. So this one's all on him. I don't see any wild card coming out of the AFC North at all. Moving over to the AFC East, this is really going to be all about New England. It is his division if he wants it. Miami, though, I think has the potential to sneak up and grab a wild card spot. That is who I'm going to put my money on. I'm hoping that they're able to sneak in there. I know that the Jets still are in there. Buffalo, of course, is still in there with an opportunity. But those are my winners. Give me New England. Of course, the Bengals, who's already got it wrapped up. Jacksonville. And then I'm taking the Chargers with Miami and Houston being my two wild card teams. The teams to watch would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's find out what happens with them. The Oakland Raiders, who are probably gonna, we'll see, had a family emergency today, so couldn't play Week 14. We'll see what happens in that sim. And then I also like the Ravens. We'll have to see what Tavai can do with that team. He plays really, really good football. Of course, he had a tough loss against me this week. I just got lucky with a punt return touchdown. We'll have to see what happens there. Now let's move over to the NFC, the much bigger, like more powerhouse this season at least, if with your powers and your top teams. Give me your NFC breakdown. Let's see what you think about the NFC, your division winners, and your two wildcard teams.
You said it well. This year, it's the tide of power has changed as in a whole. You got 6 teams right now that are 8 wins or better, that are a game within each other. The top 6 squads. I guess I'll start with the NFC East. It hurts me to say it, and it's not because I don't like you, Duck. I just don't want to see you in the NFC. But the Eagles, I think the Eagles have clinched it. They beat the Giants this week, who were their main team to fend off for that division. And he handled him well. And like I said, as much as I hate to see him in the playoffs against me, I think the Eagles are going to pull that division out. The Giants are right there fighting for a wild card spot. The Redskins have kind of been on a little slip lately. They were right there fighting at it, and they've had a rough last couple of weeks. And the NFC North, I got the Vikings right now coming out on top. They're a game up on the CPU Bears, and with that being said, it's the CPU Bears, which really hurts their chances of getting the playoff. And they're also a 5-1 division record. I think you can just write it down, and that the Vikings will come out with that one. He's deceptively played on the radar all year, the Kingpin has, and he's just somebody who can beat any team in this league on any given day with his crazy passing game he has. NFC South, which started early in the season, man, it was neck and neck. It was 3 team. It was a race for everybody in that division. Kind of separated to a 3-team race. 00 has been busy with work, and the Panthers have suffered because of it. And Tampa Bay came in, and Hitchka, he's a heck of a player, and he made a real good race for the NFC South. Like I said, last couple weeks he slipped, lost some games he probably shouldn't have lost. And thanks to that, my Falcons are probably going to end up winning that division. If we had to go to NFC South, NFC West, which is your home, Nate, it's been a tight race. Like I said, you had 4 teams, and I think every team in here is either won. I think if the 49ers win, I think every team in this division has either won the division or been right there at it since we started this Madden. But I do think the 49ers are going to end up winning this division. And I say that they just have a little easier route to go the rest of the season. You know, I say easier. They have the Bengals, which aren't easy. The Saints, which aren't easy. But they have the Bears CPU team. And the Seahawks have the Browns and my Falcons and the Bucks to end the season, and the CPU Steelers. It'll be interesting to see who wins it. I do write the 49ers down as pulling this one out. They got a better division record, and I think that they're tied head-to-head against each other. But I do think the 49ers are going to pull that one out. And my 2 wild card teams are going to be the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to walk in with the wild card team. After starting the season, if I'm not mistaken, at 8-1, they've slid the last couple weeks. But I do think he's going to scrape enough, get enough got by to get a wild card. And I think the Giants are going to come out of the NFC East with a wild card berth. Like I said, I do think this was his week to claim the division. And like I said, he played the Ducks, and playing Ducks is always a tough game. No matter how you pretty much have to game plan, throw everything out the window when you play him, and it just makes for it's always an interesting game. And like I said, he played a tough game, but he's still going to settle, and he's still going to be in the playoff hunt. I give him the wild card, last wild card spot.
Yeah, you and I agree 100%, so I'm not going to sit here and rehash all the great things that you've already said. I'll start with the West and kind of work my way to the left. I do think whoever doesn't win the division between San Francisco and Seattle will make a wild card. Both of those teams are very, very good. Old Meathead has taken over his favorite team and really played well. Something he started with the Chargers. Now he's moved over to San Francisco. That is a very good team. They swept me this year. Of course, the Rams are making this a little bit interesting, but a 3-game hole with 3 games to go is really, really difficult to overcome. He might make that wild card race a little bit more interesting, though. Props to him because he's really had to battle back. My team is in full off-season mode. We're starting a bunch of young players and rookies trying to get XP and just try to figure out our quarterback situation. So give me, I like Seattle to win this division, but whoever doesn't win this division is definitely in with a wild card. NFC South is all but done. Of course, your Falcons have wrapped that up. I think that Tampa Bay, who was in this race early, 0-0 with the Panthers, was in this race early. I think both of those guys, I'm making some assumptions with Tampa Bay, but definitely 0-0. Work and life took over, and they're just not able to be around as much as they were, especially Tampa Bay these last few weeks. 0-0 is totally MIA. I've even asked him, like, how do we help you? What do we do here? Because you're not even showing up for a lot of these games or responding. So hopefully life will slow down for him because that's a much better division whenever 0-0 is around and playing. Tampa Bay will bounce back, but it's all about the Atlanta Falcons. I don't see any wild card coming out of that. NFC North, I know that Chicago Bears roster gets crapped on a lot, but evidently that team is something. They're sitting at 7-5. The guy who had them previously was winning. The team that makes me scratch my head here is Madden Maniac with Detroit. Now, he did take this team over right as the offseason was starting, so he didn't have a lot of time to build them to fit him, but he will play better as we progress, and I look for that team to be much better next season. No clue what happened to Priest. He's kind of just like me. His season just went kaput on him. That was a team that was deep in the playoffs last year. I want to say it was either like in conference championships or like divisional round. He was deep. He went further than the wild card. But this is all about the Minnesota Vikings. But you got to show me something to Kingpin because, again, just like your best friend Brady over there in the AFC, something happens when you get to the playoffs. So you're going to have to show me something. And the caveat to this is somebody may take the Bears here in the next few days. And you just never know. That team is definitely right there in it. Then look at the NFC East. Of course, Ducks is back, and he is a powerhouse, as he always is. Washington and Dallas. Dallas is like me and the Green Bay and the Tennessee Titans. Like, his season got unraveled pretty quickly, and he's not quite sure why. We are going to do some slider adjustments. Just kind of put a little pin in that. We'll talk about that probably on the next podcast or the podcast after that. But we'll do some slider adjustments around quarterback accuracy and catch because we've seen a lot of drops and a lot of terrible quarterback play. I don't know what happened, but we will adjust that just a little bit. Washington Redskins, I was expecting more than a 6-6 season. Here's the caveat here. Of course, I think this is all about Ducks, especially with his win this week against the New York Giants. Of course, Ducks is a powerhouse. He's a 2-time champion here. He will be a force to be reckoned with once you get into the playoffs. And Lord knows what that dude is going to do this offseason. He's already been freaking doing his thing, which is just crazy. And he's Ducks, so he does what he does. But the New York Giants adding back an old owner that used to be with us last Madden and Witness. Now, I'll put this little caveat out there. He hates All-Pro, and he hates No Switch, so not 100% sure he's going to stay with us. He said he's going to finish out the season and kind of reevaluate, so it will suck if he leaves, but again, we are what we are, and we're not going to change. Like, we have a great thing going here, and if guys feel like this isn't a fit, then it's just not a fit, but that is a very good team. And I think they're going to be my wild card. So I'm agreeing with you. Seattle or San Francisco, winner of the division. The other team gets a wild card. New York Giants are going to be a wild card. Philly, Vikings, Atlanta. Those are your division teams. And those are all the teams I think are going to go into the playoffs. Rams will make it interesting, but that's really the only team that can make it interesting. And then Chicago is just like kind of up in the air. I don't know. I think it would be really difficult for a guy to come in, unless it's Clavin, which is a guy that's on our waiting list who used to be with me whenever I took the league to a PS3 league. He joined me, had some really terrible tragedies in his personal life, has taken a break from everything, but applied overnight, and I've added him. And so he's a guy that can play. And if he takes over that Bears team, he might be able to make things interesting over in the NFC. So there's a look at Dwayne and I's look at the AFC and the NFC and who's going to make the playoffs. So now let's talk about a couple of big awards, because hopefully Houday over the next week or so will start to get the award nominations up. We'll start getting some votes on that. So please take a moment and vote once Houday gets that up. He puts a lot of time and effort and energy into that. We want that to happen. We do a really cool awards show video, and it's just a lot of fun. So please participate in that. Houday, that's your challenge. Get that vote ready. Get it ready to go. Let's get some more options this year. So let's talk about, give me your MVP for season 71. That's the player, the Madden player, not the coach, but the Madden player that you feel is the most valuable player for the league this year. Who do you like?
Well, if you don't mind, I picked my guy. When I say my guy, I have one guy I picked out. I want to give three guys honorable mentions because, like I said, a lot of guys are just right there. My honorable mentions, Jeremy Langford for the Jets, a surprising good season. 171 carries, 1,310 yards, almost 8 yards a carry, and 11 touchdowns. He's single-handedly kept his team in the playoff race for the 31st passing team in the league. He's had to run the ball, and this guy has single-handedly carried the Jets just into the playoff race. They're saying he's the leading rusher in OMFL. It's just impressive what he's doing, like I said, because guys can just stack the box on him, and he can run still. My other honorable mention, Darius Jackson for the Titans, and he's made his way around the ring in the OMFL so far. He started out with Ducks, got to the Titans. Titans really didn't know how to use him last year, kind of hit and miss. This year, he's changed that. He's got 184 carries for almost 1,200 yards, 6.5 yards a carry, 11 touchdowns. He's the best running back on the best running team in the OMFL. Like I said, I want to give a shout-out to him. I know his season hasn't turned out quite like he hoped, but he stuck to his guns, and Darius Jackson has showed out for him this year. Another guy is a Ducks prodigy. Bills quarterback Brett Hundley is just quietly had a great year with Buffalo. They're the fourth best passing team in the OMFL and the fifth best offense altogether. And like I said, he's got that team in the playoff race, 3,400 yards passing, 27 touchdowns. And this says a lot right here because interceptions kill me. They hurt me. Deep down, they hurt me. And a lot of people throw a lot of interceptions here, especially with the way the quarterback accuracy has went this year. He only had 12 interceptions this year, and that's amazing through 12 games, especially, like I said, with the way the accuracies went. 64% passing and 98 QB rating. I think he was fourth in the league. He really flew on the radar with Hudley this year.
It's hard to beat his first season with Ducks, though. I mean, his first season with Ducks was 25-6 with 69%. I mean, that's a Ducks, definitely a Ducks thing, but he is having a good season.
He is. It's hard to compare anybody with Ducks. And Ducks, I don't want to see your head get any bigger. I don't want you to think we're trying to pump you up any, but we got to show a little respect to you. But my first guy, and like I said, if I'm not mistaken, he plays for the number one offense in the league, number one scoring team in the league, and he's fighting for his playoff hopes. And I'm sorry I left you out earlier on the wild card. I don't know what I was thinking. You should be right there in the race, and I hope to see you in the playoffs. When I played against you, you caught every bad break you could. Is Darian Traynor for the Texans. If he could cut down on his interceptions just a tiny bit, and as much as you air it out, Massimo, you're going to throw some interceptions. You were the air out. I mean, you and the Kingpin are like passing gurus. 3,700 yards passing, 30 touchdowns. Like I said, 21 interceptions. That hurts me. That hurts my heart to say that. But like I said, as much as he throws it, and he's going to throw some interceptions. 61% passing, 10 yards per attempt, 92 pass rating. I think he's third in the league in QB rating, and that says a lot, throwing 21 interceptions as to how good he is. And to say he's a rookie, that's even better. I just don't think you could see nobody that was more valuable to a team than he was. Like I said, he led. Massimo rode or died with Traynor, and that's my MVP for OMFL this year.
You know, my initial reaction whenever I thought about this question was Traynor could, on paper, when you just glance at it, be your MVP and your Rookie of the Year. And I can't argue anything that you said, but I think you also touched on the reason that I actually can't vote for him for either one of them. And here's why. 61% completion percentage is okay. You probably want to see that in the 65 and higher range. but 33 sacks and 21 interceptions. I just can't do it. I mean, the guy is spectacular. 30 touchdowns is a lot. But I will say that another guy that is an honorable mention for me is the reason I think that he has so many opportunities. That's David Johnson. David Johnson, I think, has, 1,100, so 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, a 7.5 average. Another guy that's right there in the MVP talk. And I think because David is playing so well, that gives the opportunity for him to play even better. It opens up holes. Guys can't just sell out to the pass because David Johnson will rip them to pieces. Yes, he's got a lot of yards, and yes, he's putting up a lot of crazy, crazy stats. But so is like Corey Coleman for the Cleveland Browns, and so is a bunch of teams that are, have really good players. There's Andrew Luck who's putting up a bunch of stuff, but he's like at 6-8 or whatever it is, or 6-7, he's something like that. Jeremy Langford's putting up a lot of stats for a losing team. So there's a lot of teams who are putting up great stats. I mean, Keith Marshall, Darius Jackson, Jeremy Langford, 3 of your top 5 running backs are in losing teams that are not going to make the playoffs. So I think you got to go a little bit deeper than just the stats. If you ask me who my MVP is so far, I got to go with somebody like Matt Ryan, who's already won. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's already won MVP here for one of his seasons. I think that if we go back to maybe it was last season where he was 27 touchdowns and 10 interceptions or something like that, he won MVP again on another tear, 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 25 sacks is kind of high, but he's at 70% completion percentage. He's in the top 5 in yards. This guy is playing outstanding football for a team that has not lost a lot of games, a team that will be back in the playoffs, and a team that he's led to back-to-back Super Bowls the last 2 seasons. So I got to go with the easier pick. I got to take Matt Ryan. Of course, the quarterbacks are the sexy pick always. Give me Matt Ryan. I think he's playing better football. So now let's go and talk about rookies of the year. Who do you like for your rookie of the year? Now, you already picked one rookie for MVP, so if you're not picking him for rookie of the year, you're going to have to really explain that one.
Well, he's on my rookie of the year list. And like I said, I'm not going to go into any more detail about it. I really like him. I played against him. And really, my whole thing was stopping, like you said, I didn't give enough respect to David Johnson. My whole game plan going in the game was stop David Johnson and make him beat me with that quarterback. And like I said, my defense came out on top that one game. I've seen him torch some people. But like I said, we'll go on some other rookies. We've already covered Trainer. And I won't mess this name up. And I know, Houday, I don't want to see you blow my thing, my Discord up because I know you love this guy. I don't. How do you say
Divine
his name?
Arnaud.
There you go. 3,100 yards passed and 19 touchdowns. I know you were the aired out king too. You like to throw some deep routes. 21 interceptions, man, that hurts me. When you said Matt Ryan had 12 interceptions, I cringed. 21 interceptions. I'd have to reevaluate my life. 57% passing. Like you said, we'd like to see that higher, but I know the deep routes that you run, Houday, are such a high risk, high reward routes. And that's just the way you play because you almost average 11 yards per attempt. If it wasn't for Trainer, I think he'd be right there as in head rookie of the year. I do think Trainer's going to take it, but I'll tell you a surprise pick because I only picked 3 rookie of the year candidates. And I played against him last week, and he torched me. And I've seen for the last about 6 weeks he's been on a tear. He has wide receiver Ben Dwight from the Colts, 91 catches, 1,400 yards receiving, 15 yards per catch, and 16 touchdowns. And if I'm not mistaken, that's through 13 games. If I'm not mistaken, my computer at work is horribly slow. 13 games. And I know that he's playing for a team that's 500. Colin's way better than his record. Let's just throw that out there. I met that right in the face this week. He's way better than 6 and 7. And that receiver he's got is the real deal. Him and Dorsett, depending on how long we keep playing, them guys could be on a tear for years in Colin's system. But those are my 3 rookies. I do think Trainer, like I said, it's kind of hard you can't really pick the MVP as him and then not pick him rookie of the year. I think he's going to win both. I think you're going to have a crap load of XP to spend, Massimo, which is why I'm glad I'm not in the AFC South or the AFC in general with you. But I think he wins it. But I think Bengals quarterback and Colts receiver, I think they're right there. I think that they could, like I said, it's hard to pick the Bengals guy over him because statistically the Texans quarterback is just a little bit better right now. But like I said, you also got the Bengals quarterback plays for the best team in OMFL right now, 11-2. That's hard to argue about that. It's hard to argue with it, but that's my 3 picks. I'm not going to be ballsy enough to pick one, but if I had to pick one, it's going to be Trainer. Because like I said, I think he's just been phenomenal this year. He's just been a phenomenal quarterback. If I had to go with one, Nate, that would be my tough Rookie of the Year and MVP pick would be Trainer.
I got to call you out on this. I find it funny. You don't have the balls enough to pick one for Rookie of the Year, but you called that guy your MVP. Come on, D. Wayne. If he's your MVP, then bring him home. He's your Rookie of the Year. You can't win one and not win the other. You know what? I got to be honest. I was a little torn on this one, and here's why. So my initial reaction, here's one that you didn't talk about, and I just love this guy right here just because of his name, Scott Wang for the San Francisco 49ers. But his stats are not impressive. 52% completion percentage, terrible. 1,923 yards. Come on, break 2,000 yards, please. 15 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Not a good combination there, and 26 sacks. But something's got to be said for a Rookie of the Year who's leading his team to a 9-4 record and tied for his division after this team was nowhere to be found. I mean, this was a second-round rookie quarterback. So I got to give Scott Wang some love. Also, my initial reaction was to look at the quarterbacks. Trainer and Arnaud both are playing really, really good. Of course, Trainer is putting up the stats that you want to see. I mean, 30 touchdowns is unbelievable, but he does play on a team that's not even leading his division and that is struggling to even make the playoffs. Then you look at Arnaud, who's leading his team to only 2 losses, but he doesn't have great stats. Let's see if we get in Arnaud here. Yeah, I mean, you got 19 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. You got more interceptions than touchdowns, and you got 20 sacks and only 57% completion percentage. So I was really, really torn on what to do here. Another team that we haven't really talked about that immediately jumps out at you is the New York Giants. He's got Choice, Gregory, and Wooten, 3 guys in the top 5 leading sacks. So clearly he's brought in some rookies there, taken over a team that brought in some rookies there. Nolan used to have that team. I think actually drafted for them. So that team has some really young, impressive players that are going to make some noise as we finish these last couple of seasons. But I had to go with the guy, and this is why I was torn, because the guy that I'm picking for Rookie of the Year, his stats are just so unbelievably great that I got to overlook the record, the team record, and that's going to be Ben, what was his last name? Ben Dwight, the wide receiver, 2nd-round pick, 15th overall for the Indianapolis Colts, the 6'1", 206 wide receiver out of Arkansas has just played unbelievable. 91 receptions, 1,395 yards, 16 touchdowns. He's averaging 15.3 yards per catch. That is just unbelievable for a rookie. And he's not like one of these 96, 97 speed guys. He's 94 speed, 94 acceleration. He's got great hands. He's got great jumping ability. And what I really love about him and why I wish he was on my team, he can run block. He's got 51 run blocking. He is just a perfect overall guy. I don't know how many of you guys were here last Madden that remember, but I had a wide receiver that led the league in receptions called Morrison, and he was like almost copy and paste of this guy. Just a decently height guy, 6'1", decent speed, that 90, 91 speed range, but a great route runner, great hands, great blocker, and just did everything really, really good. Morrison was a great player who I miss. Ben Dwight is a copy paste of him. Ben Dwight is going to be my Rookie of the Year. He's just playing really, really, really great. And his stats are so much better that I got to overlook the team record. With the quarterbacks, I expect a little bit more for them. A little harder on the quarterbacks. If we're going to give them love, then we got to be a little bit harder on them. So that's it for the league. That brings us all caught up. And it's going to bring us to our Outside the League segment. And for this week, we're going to kind of take a look at an article that we posted on Twitter and posted in the league. It's deepdivegaming.com. You can see this article there. 42 things EA needs to fix for Madden 18. This guy just kind of went on a rampage of things that he would like to see just be a little bit better for the next Madden. Some of his stuff, I think, is like pie in the sky. We're never, ever, ever, ever going to see it. But some of his stuff made a lot of sense, and then some I just didn't agree with at all. So I just wanted to talk about this for a few minutes before we wrap up the show. D-Wayne, you've got to look at this article. You've got to kind of peruse through it. Give me your feelings overall this article. What are some things that you like? Maybe some things you didn't like, some things you'd love to see. What are your thoughts?
Well, I read the article yesterday. I was, of course, sitting at work, not doing work. I was sitting here reading this whole article, and like I said, a lot of these points he hits are. Now I've heard our whole chat group talk about a lot of these things. The first one sticks out to me is the wind, and I know that sounds like a small thing, but you never know where the wind's going to be at in these games. Usually it's the opposite of what it tells you. I wish it would be, and he even says that he wishes it would be just a real plain cut and simple on where the wind's going to go. And usually it takes a kick or two to figure out which way the wind's actually blowing in these games. And that doesn't make, and, I know that sounds like a small thing until you're trying to keep that 55-yard field goal to win the game at the end. Another one I looked at, the import draft classes. I don't think a lot of guys, I see some guys bring that up this year in the chat, and this might even before I got on the board. I thought it was a neat idea until I got in here and started editing contracts and doing stuff. And I would hate to have to edit a draft class. And that's why I love the fact that they have that import, almost like 2K does with their basketball. You can import custom draft classes in. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. It would make the draft even more exciting than it already is. And that says a lot because this is one group of guys, we all get excited about the draft. This one right here, you're going to hit this one. It's going to hit you to the heart. A better companion app. I know how much you hate our companion app. There's a lot more they should be able to do with it. I would love to see them, expand on it. It's a good idea. I wish they'd expand on it and make it a better tool for us. And the next one right after that was more commission control. Was there resetting the games, resetting scores? It just gives the commissioner pretty much ultimate, I hate to say God powers, but it almost gives them God powers where if they can edit anything inside the game, that would just be just you, Nate. I wouldn't want nothing like that. But that would be awesome because we've ran into situations where we needed to mess with stuff, especially with the whole TED thing and all that. When everything got screwed up, it would have been amazing to be able to take control of that and fix it. And he says that in another article about it every week saving the rosters to where if you have a guy who dumps the roster like that, you can just back it up and he'll go back to the week before's rosters. That would be amazing. It was saved, and you and Houday and you two did a lot of amazing work with that. I can't claim.
I'm not taking credit for that. That's 100% Houday. He did it for us.
That's props to you, Houday, because I like the editing contracts. Man, that hurt my head. I would hate to have to edit those teams, and you did the whole team. Another one is stop the crazy regression. As a guy who I like real life NFL players. And most of the guys I like are 26, 27, 28 years old. Well, a year or two in the game, man, they start losing crazy stuff. They really devalue older guys. I wish, and I understand that that's a realistic thing, but I wish they wouldn't do it to such an extreme measure. And I've seen a lot of people complain about that one. I think they really, really went extreme with it. Two more right here that I've seen people talk about, and we've ran into it. Was updating the in-season and off-season free agent bidding process. The points thing, it's kind of a good idea, but at the same time, you see people like that. That's why we had to implement the three-point rule. I think it's the three-point rule. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Yeah, you're right.
About not just jumping somebody because you can see what they're bidding. I do like he says, a blind bidding process to where you can't try to ante up somebody 2 points, 3 points better than somebody. And the same thing with the in-season process. You shouldn't, free agent. He's talking about, what's his name? I think he names off some random free agent on here. He wants a year for $3.5 million. He would like to implement a bidding process or at least an offer contract so you don't have to pay $4 million for in a tight situation when you need a left tackle in the middle of the season. I like the idea with it. I think it would be a lot of work and a lot to implement, but I think it would be fun to have. There's only a few more. Now, he had 42. If anybody wants to read this article, there's 42 things that he suggests they need to fix. And some of them are nitpicky, but a lot of them are really good ideas. The last three that I looked at is I would like to see the Pro Bowl be more emphasis. I'd like to see Pro Bowl rosters. Show some stats. Make it something. I mean, I know you get some XP now, but you don't see who's on it. If you don't go to your guys and look in the thing, you don't see anything on it. I would like to see something. It would reward some people, especially some guys that didn't make the playoffs. Some people love to see their people, in the Pro Bowl. It would be a rewarding thing to see. One more thing is allow better contract structures. Like I said, I jotted down notes with this, and I'm trying to scroll through it while I'm doing it. Is backload, and then that's a lot to ask. Backloading, front loading, making contracts more realistic rather than offering a 5-year, $70 million contract and he gets thrown out. I would like to see it more realistic. I don't actually think that they'll do that. I could be wrong. I know NBA 2K has it where you can spread it out, beginning of the contract, front end, back end, 10% increases or decreases. That would be an interesting thing because I think you would see people get to manage their contracts, their rosters a lot better. I think it would make for a lot more intriguing team building process. But that's the ones I picked out. Now, there's a lot more on there, guys. I mean, there's league expansion talk, division expansion talk, something that I don't see us completely getting into, but they're good ideas, and I think y'all would enjoy reading up on this article.
Yeah, I think it's a very intriguing article. Props to the guy who wrote it. I will say that some of his stuff, over half of his stuff, is like super easy. Yes, 100%. That should be an easy thing for them to fix and add in. Some of it, I think, is pie in the sky. I think the contract stuff that you were just talking about would be awesome, but I think it's only awesome for such a small amount of people. It'd be awesome for guys like us who just geek out on Madden, who are 100% Madden, and who play everything else on the side, but Madden is the main thing. But I think that some of those things in real life are so detailed and so confusing that in the reality of it, of a 32-man league, you're probably only talking 10 to 15 guys are super into it and super bought in. The others are just there to play, and they just want to play the game. And so having all this back, front, all that I think it's just too much pie in the sky. Personally, love to see it. I just don't see it happening. Then I think some of his stuff I just don't agree with. I personally like it. And I know some of the guys here, like Ducks, especially on one of them, would totally disagree with me, but I like it personally. I'm just going to roll through them really, really quick. Let leagues do their own play testing. That would be awesome. I'd love to see CFM really get the focus. Now, look, I will also say this is the best Madden, I think, ever. I think they said they had a 3-year plan 2 years ago. We'll see where it continues to grow. I think that this is one of the best Maddens ever. I've been playing since 2001 when Madden first came online, when it was first offered. I've played Madden before that, but as far as online leagues go, and that was a great, amazing game. It really, really was way ahead of its time. So much so that I think some people actually still play that game if it's runnable on their computer. I actually still own the game. It's a really, really cool game. I'd love to see us get more testing and get more focus. Look, Mutt is always going to get all the focus because people pay. They make a lot of money on it. I hate Mutt. I'll never play Mutt. Never going to touch it. I could care less. I hate when Madden comes up with a new gimmick. There's always a new gimmick. Just think back to the Vision Cone several years ago. I hate their new gimmicks that come and go. So I would like to see us get a better focus. These types of things like show win at all times, save game progress, make copies of league. Those are little things. Export league roster. Oh my God, I'd love to have that. We used to have that in the PC leagues. And that way you could play offline, user against user, and use your team. And that just made so much more fun. I don't play offline because you don't get to play with your team. And you don't get to play other guys with their teams. And I'm never going to play online. That's just the worst experience ever. I'd love to see them give us an export roster. I'd love to see them import draft classes. We're never, ever going to edit draft classes because you have to draft them first and then go back and edit. I just think that's dumb. I think it's just you're doing work just for the sake of doing work. There's no real benefit from it because you have to draft the guy with his Madden name and then go back and change it later. It doesn't make sense to me. Some leagues love doing it. Not for us. Create a better app, please. Oh my gosh. The app that we have now is crap. We had to have it. I miss the old app. The old app was awesome. It worked great. We had to have an app this year because we wouldn't have Daddy League without it. I'm thankful that they made an app, but it's like they paid, a bunch of third world children to create this. I don't know who created this app, but it's just junk. I hate the thing. Yeah, I'd love more commissioner controls, but I'm glad we have what we have now. Sliders for everything. Yep, great. Hate regression. Make it in, please. Regression reminds me of XP a couple of years ago when you could get 2,000 XP for every player every week, and then you ended up getting like 99 overall players every single time. I would love, this reminds me of that. Like, it took them a couple of years to tweak that and get that right. I would love for them to keep tweaking this. Yes, regression needs to be a part of our leagues, but this is ridiculous. It needs to be tweaked and made a little bit better. I think the same thing about the blind bidding system offline. Love to see a blind bidding system, but this is better than what it has been. And I get what they're trying to do. I like it. I would love to see blind bidding. I think that would just make everyone's life a whole lot easier. Give us blind bidding where you don't see anything ever, and let's just move on. More details in transition log, league history. Like, I love all of this stuff, but these are like little details that I could come or go. Yes, it would make our lives a lot easier, like the update player browsing screens. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's not that big of a deal. I'd love to see these little things cleaned up. Again, update off-season and in-season free agent bidding. Would love to see all that, but it's not terribly bad. Advanced stats, it is what it is. Pro Bowls, you've already covered that. I'd like to see that be a little bit better, but it's not that terrible of a thing. Show stats on awards page, that's an easy thing, I think, that they should do. I love this. Create custom jerseys. I think that would make for a better, it would be cool to be able to have that. The allow division realignment, I think, would be a very intriguing option. I don't know that we would ever use that, but it would be kind of neat to move guys around. Maybe after, 2 seasons, if you're sub 500, then you get moved out. I don't know. You could come up with something, but that would make for an intriguing situation. Introduce multiple owner. Hate it. Don't want that. If you want to be a GM, play offline or join coach mode or some other thing, but I don't want multiple owner thing. That just creates headache, I think. Field goal line, that's an easy addition. Draft board, I would love to see this. This is one of those things I loved about what he's talking about. For guys who can't make the draft, if they could set their own draft board before the draft happens, and then the computer drafts off of that draft board in the order that it's set, then that would be spectacular. That would be really, really great. Sub options, it is what it is. Receiver shadowing, I'd love to see that come back. That's like an easy thing that I get annoyed with when the number 2 receiver is really the better receiver, but your number 1 cornerback's on the opposite side. Now you got to pause and move him around. Then he just moves the receiver with a flop receiver. I'd love to bring back receiver shadowing. That would be awesome. Here's where I don't agree. Eliminate icing. And I know Ducks would totally disagree with me. I love this. I think it's awesome new addition. Like, again, I don't think that icing in reality is a real thing. I do sports mentality for a living and trauma and all this other stuff, and like there are stats that show that icing a kicker is not a real thing, but I do think that pressure is a thing, and this adds pressure. Could it use a little tweaking? Yes, but at the end of the day, I think it's super cool and I like it. Show stats, get care less, show players' names or practice. I don't care about any of this stuff. Yes, it would be nice, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. Stop absurd goals. Please, 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 please do that. I wish that were a thing. Some of these stupid goals are just dumb. It's never going to happen, and it just doesn't work. Another thing I don't agree with, fix the bottom ticker. I like it as it shows in real time as you were doing it. I think that's a neat addition. It makes it realistic. I like it. Formation subs would be cool, but not that big of a deal. Situational subs, not that big of a deal. Yeah, it would be nice to have those things. I think those are easy fixes, but it is what it is. Make it easier to put backup in. That would be great, but it only really helps for preseason or maybe a blowout. Again, there used to be that option where you just like put in all second stringers, put in all third stringers, those types of things. So that's kind of my whole feelings. I think he had some really neat things, and at least at the end of the day, it stirs up some conversation. And I'd love to see EA kind of take note for that and see if they would actually listen to the community. But again, we're a very small percentage of the community. Unfortunately, the larger percentage are guys that just want easy, cheesy, like first-person shooter type, just 2-3 buttons that they push, MUT type stuff. That's their main focus, and we're kind of on the back end. But not going to complain because I think this is one of the better games that we've ever had. So there you have it. Press Pass Live is over. So give me your final thoughts. Let's put a little bow on this and wrap it up. What do you think about the league so far? Season 71 is coming to a close.
Oh, man, I think it's a promising sign to see. Man, we're rushing. We are killing these weeks right now. I saw from 1 or 2 games, man, guys are playing. I think within the first 24 hours, or 36 at least, everybody's playing their games. And I like to see that, especially, like I said, this is my first online franchise to ever be a part of, a real online franchise. But, just like anything else, you figure towards the end of a cycle, people would start kind of, slacking off. And you've seen it a little bit, but you still see the fire. You have, like I said, about 20 to 24 owners, man, that get on here and they play their games. I mean, somebody made a joke the other day in the chat, and Priest won't mind me saying this, that why hadn't Priest played yet? We just advanced. He plays the first minute after we advance. I love seeing that because I'm the same way. I like to play as soon as I can because I look forward to playing my Madden game. But I like I said, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great transition into Madden 18. I'm not ready to be done with 17 yet because I still got the fire to try to win another one. But I'm excited that there is excitement going into the next Madden.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Lots of great content that is being pushed out. I got to admit, some guys are helping me because life is busy for me right now. And so I'm having a hard time keeping up the website. And I want to try to focus on what makes us different. And that's the content. That's the videos. That's the articles. And so in order for me to really be able to use my time wisely and put it there, I want to allow other guys to help me with like the website and the Game of the Week and those types of things. So we will be getting Game of the Week back next week. We will be getting the website updated, hopefully within the next couple of days. I know somebody's going to step up and help me with that. So lots of good stuff. Brady's been stepping up to help Chaotic with the feedback forums. We are watching those every single day, looking at what you guys are putting. We'll put together another score for you at the end of the season and let you know kind of what your averages are for the season. So lots of really good stuff. We've got 3 guys on the waiting list right now. I'm still promoting us. Nobody's been passed yet, but we're trying to get the league back to full again. This really is the best group of guys that I think we've had since the PC days. When we first moved over to PlayStation 3, we had another really great set of guys. And this is another just really great core group of men who I think will be here together playing for a long, long time. So I'm excited about where we're going. Lots of really good stuff out there. Make sure that you subscribe and like the YouTube channel. Subscribe our Twitter feed. We also have a Twitch feed that's up and that we promote. Lots of good stuff coming up. Before you know it, when Dwayne and I come back, hopefully Houday will be with us. We will be either right at the playoffs or in the playoffs, and then we'll be deep in the off season, and that's when the fun gets to start all over again. So for Dwayne, Houday, all of the board here in the OMFL, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. Peace.
Have a good one, guys.